The following opinions and ideas are that of the host and or contributors of the Eat This with Lianne podcast and radio show and are for purposes of general information and entertainment only and do not necessarily reflect the thoughts or ideas of the distributor.
Welcome to a really special episode of Eat This with Lianne. Now, while my lovely loyal listeners, I know you haven't got your eyeballs on us at the moment, but I'm actually in the same room as Dr. Davis Brockenshire from Innovative Health Solutions in Michigan, but we happen to be on the other side of the USA together working. And so here we're taking the opportunity to sit down. We've got Chris here on the laptop as well. If you could actually see the setup, I will provide pictures over on liannephillipson.com just so you can have a little giggle about what we managed to cobble together to do this. But really, this is the kickoff to a monthly episode with Dr. Brockenshire, where we're going to bring your questions from the lovely loyal listeners to him and basically just grill him and try and get into his brain for a better understanding of how we can improve our own health. So welcome, Dr. B.
Here we go. Live fist bumps this time. None of this virtual stuff.
I know. Normally, I'm in my closet, so completely broken out. Chris, you're still in the bathroom. Well, in the in your bathroom studio, I should say, not in the bathroom. Literally.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for the invite. I appreciate it. Jeez.
I know. We should have just flown you in or something like that. That would have been much more fun. Could you imagine?
Now I know what you two do when I'm not around.
Could you imagine the three of us all together on set? I don't even know if we'd ever get anything recorded. We would just have so much fun. Anyway, we are going to have so much fun today. All right, so anything you'd like to say to our lovely loyal listeners being live?
I'm just honored to get grilled and have my brain turn into a puddle of goo as normal. Let's do it.
All right, so our first question is from a lovely loyal listeners, and there is something called tinnitus, which I'd like you to explain, but basically it's like a constant ringing in the ears, and it is debilitating for some. Does it happen for men more than women, or? Okay, you just take it away.
First of all, thank you for pronouncing it correctly.
Oh, did I?
Because one of my pet peeves is tinnitus, but it's tinnitus.
Oh,
so
okay.
Well done.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's funny because recently, as in July 2023, there's actually been some good research on what's going on. Why is everybody talking about ringing in their ears?
Yeah.
It used to be thought that it was a vascular thing, so blood supply to the ears were being compromised, and if you've ever put a kink in a garden hose and you've heard that whooshing sound, that can produce a type of ringing, but at the same time we get worried or concerned that it could be neurological. And what's really going on for most of us today is we're just too bloody stressed out. And what happens is your posture changes with chronic stress. Your shoulders go up and you start to clench your teeth, and you clench the back of your teeth first, which activates the muscles in the jaw. And when you clench the jaw, you actually compress the eustachian tube and the blood vessels to the ears. So the more you clench your jaw, the greater the likelihood you're going to have tinnitus. And one of the hallmarks of TMJ issues is ringing in the ears. So if everybody could just chill out for a bit, right, find your favorite gummy or have a cup of tea, you'll notice that the ringing will change with stress levels. If you wake up with ringing, it's because you probably had a fitful sleep. Nutritionally, we typically look at the B vitamins. And because the B vitamins are calming, stress support, they lower that tone on the arteries, they lower your blood pressure, along with what? Magnesium. There it is. We got magnesium in the conversation within 5 minutes. But literally, magnesium bisglycinate relaxes these muscles. Now, if your dentist or your oral maxillofacial surgeon has ever, busted your chops about TMJ, and you're using a bite guard, and you think, well, my TMJ is fine. I have a bite guard.
That's exactly where I was going to go, because I have a mouth guard or a bite guard, as you say.
Yeah.
And I don't suffer with with tinnitus, but I'm already thinking, okay, off to the dentist everyone goes and gets themselves a bite guard.
Right. And it's like, how many bite guards do you go through a week? Because you shouldn't go through any. But people actually break these things. And unless you're playing hockey, you shouldn't be breaking your mouth guard while you're sleeping.
Right.
Okay, so if somebody comes to me and they're talking about the ringing in their ears, we're going to check the jaw, the shoulders, the trapezius muscles, talk about stress. We're going to do, investigation on old brain injury and trauma. And then the weird thing that we notice is the muscles at the base of your skull. People are like, oh, I got a tension headache. Those muscles are hardwired into the circuitry of our famous vagus nerve.
Our most popular episode still.
So go back and listen to those two again.
Yes.
But when your vagus nerve tone is dropping, the muscles at the base of your skull start to squeeze. And that can cause ringing as well. Now, there's a bunch of other reasons. The obvious ones, you went to the Taylor Swift concert, you got tickets, and you forgot your ear protection. So if you've been exposed to a lot of really loud, 110 plus decibel music your whole life,
Yeah.
and if you have, well done. But it does destroy, a lot of the sensors in the ears, mainly little hair-like objects. So first thing you want to do is have a hearing test done. If you're married, no, it's not selective hearing. You can actually lose frequencies, okay? So ringing or tinnitus can also be the loss of frequencies, and your brain is trying to perceive those. Either way, vitamin B6 is going to help with that. So third and final, viruses. Most common being Epstein-Barr, likes to live in the lymph nodes of the throat, right? No, not everybody has Epstein-Barr, but maybe they do. Depends on what book you read, but most of those books are crazy. So let's just assume that 100% of the population will have antibodies to the Epstein-Barr virus. But if you have a flare-up because you're run down, worn out, or just partied too hard, the lymph nodes up here swell. You start to get a mild ringing one side or the other. And if you cough or you can clear your throat, sometimes the ringing changes, then you know it's viral. So take good care of the throat region, relax, deal with the stress, find out why you're grinding your teeth all night, and that should handle most of the tinnitus issues. The grossest one I've seen is parasites in the ears. Those little worms can wiggle and cause ringing. If that's the case, see an ear, nose, and throat doctor, get your ears cleaned out, so on and so forth. And don't swim in dirty water.
So can you get your hearing back?
Once those sensors are broken, you don't bring that particular frequency back. What your brain does is it starts to merge nearby frequencies. So let's say it's a B flat. It may never play B flat again, but you'll get close. And over time, as your brain relearns to use those sound frequencies, you'll hear what sounds like a B flat, but it's not a true B flat. So it's like a merger of frequencies.
Interesting.
But you're not, once it's gone, you're not, well, I should never say never.
Right.
But there's no direct path to restoring it. So
and that's for general hearing and hearing loss as well as tinnitus.
Yeah. So, protect your ears. If you've got a huge leaf blower next to your head while you're doing your yard, wear ear protection.
Wow. I don't think I've ever seen anyone with a big leaf blower with ear protection on, unless they're professionals.
Right.
Because they're using that all day long, and then they have those bright orange ear protectors on. Or they might have those little tiny...
Even just the foam buds will take the stress out.
Really? Yeah. Just that?
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of earbud type things. Okay, so here's another question as I'm thinking about my daughter that walks around with her AirPods in her ears all day long, at least one, because then when one dies, then she swaps it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, what does that do?
Let me take you here.
What's that doing to our brains as
Remember
well?
we had a conversation about genetics a while back and how some of us have unique little quirks, evolutionary adaptations, epigenetics. For example, I can handle caffeine.
Yes.
You and caffeine don't get along.
No.
Poor soul. I can handle red wine, but not whiskey.
Right.
And so everybody's got these unique genetic pieces when it comes to chemistry. And when it comes to hearing, we're finding out that some of us actually are genetically tuned for hypersensitive hearing. Just like a lot of us have hypersensitive taste receptors. So, for example, if you eat asparagus and you can't stand it because it's too bitter, you're a super taster. But if loud noises drive you crazy, you might be a super hearer. And for people that wear earbuds all day with things broadcasting into their brain, chances are they are super hearers.
Right.
And they're looking for the noise to drown out the sensitivity.
Yeah.
What that does to you is it's constantly driving your stress response. So picture, 12 kids in the church bus going, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And you're like, shut up. That's what it's doing to your brain. Your cortisol's going up. And the body will defend itself against sound by trying to drown it out with other frequencies. Ergo, creating a ringing.
Right.
So if you startle real easy, a truck goes by and if you're really easily startled, you're probably enhanced for hearing, probably have anxiety, probably can't come down at night, have a hard time falling asleep or staying asleep.
Right.
Noise canceling headphones work magical frequencies to drown out other frequencies, but it's actually not noise canceling, it's noise drowning. So the frequencies cancel the other frequencies and it's still noise. So if you put noise cancelers on and you sit there and really listen, you'll actually hear the noise frequencies blocking other frequencies. And that can be stressful.
I can't wear noise canceling earbuds because they make me crazy.
Because you pick up on it.
I feel like I'm in a vacuum, like it's sucking my brain out. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I hear.
And what I've noticed, because we travel a lot by air, I can hear people's conversations when the noise cancelers are on. But when it's off, I can't. So it's filtering out other things, and if I do have the gene for super hearing.
Right.
You pick up on things.
Right.
It's an evolutionary advantage. You do want to hear if somebody's sneaking up on you.
Yeah.
But if somebody's droning on, you'd like to be able to block them out. So I don't recommend having things in your ears all day.
No.
And if you need a break, if you've got tinnitus, if you've got anxiety and you don't sleep, you need to find 5 to 10 minutes of quiet. Lianne, I will share with you an article that was on the CBC recently about noise pollution.
Okay.
And what they're finding and how we can help.
Yeah. Fabulous. Thank you. Hi, I'm back. I'm turning my laptop.
That's all.
I'm turning my laptop back so that I can see Chris. All right, so next on our list from a question from our lovely loyal listeners. This was actually a client of mine who ended up with a terrible, go to the ER, diverticulitis crisis. She didn't even know that she had it. However, when we were working together, this was a few years ago, there were a lot of gut issues. So first of all, can you please, for anyone that's not sure, explain what diverticulitis is? And then also, what are those signs? Because this is not the first person that I've heard about where they all of a sudden get an infection and then off they go.
We're going to talk about the big D.
The big D.
So let's do a primer on physiology. So everybody touch their forearm. You can feel your skin. Oh, your skin's so amazing. Your gut is made of the same stuff.
Right.
The lining of your gut is skin. All right. So what happens with diverticulitis is the lining of your intestinal tract starts to get inflamed and it starts to wear. And over time, if it wears deep, you create a pocket, much like an issue with your tooth. You get a pocket in the gum, food gets caught. Well, in the gut, if the food's getting caught and you've got your lovely loyal microbiome who's trying to keep you alive and they're doing their thing down there, inflammation continues to build in the pocket. Then you get stressed out one day, and so you're watching a double feature where somebody said, come see Barbie, and you ended up seeing Barbie twice, and you're eating cheap popcorn, and all of a sudden you wake up in the middle of the night and your belly hurts. What happens is all that inflammation comes to a head and it blows up, much like a sore you would see on your skin. So if you've ever had a blister on your foot, that's what's going on in the belly, only it's infected. The itis piece is the first time it happens. And diverticulitis means an acute flare-up of a hole in your belly. It's painful. Your first symptom is usually, I don't feel well. My back might be sore. You might have some intestinal pain. You might have a panic attack because you think it's your appendix. By the way, your appendix is on the lower right side for most humans. Some people have it on the left, so make sure your doctor checks both sides. But a lot of times you spike a low-grade fever. So don't feel well, low-grade fever, ate popcorn recently.
Well, or any seeds, though.
Well, the seed and nut thing has been disproven.
Okay, good.
But the popcorn particularly, because it is an abrasive fiber.
Right.
And what happens is it's not actually causing the problem. It's breaking open the scab.
Oh, any other foods other than popcorn?
Mainly popcorn or an irritating fiber.
Okay.
Oh, classic fiber problem, right? Patient's putting 2 tablespoons of dried chia seeds in her shake every morning.
Okay.
You're supposed to hydrate your chia seeds. They're
Yeah, but when
supposed
they
to get gummy.
go into the shake, do they
You would
not...
expect them to hydrate, but not, it's going to need to sit. So she was drinking 2 tablespoons of chia seeds dried, and she ended up with diverticulitis because the seeds were getting caught because they hadn't hydrated. So you really got to know how to deal with your food. But anyways, you don't always have bowel habit changes. Or people think, oh, my poop changed. Well, not necessarily with diverticulitis. But when it flares, the pain is acute. It's usually a lower flank pain, low back pain, intestinal pain. Again, fever is a hallmark. And the easiest way to diagnose it is a CAT scan. Now, those aren't always easy to come by, so you got to trust your doctor and their, diagnostic skills. The worst case scenario is that diverticuli, that pocket, bursts. And now you're bleeding in your intestines. So if you spontaneously start pooping blood or throwing up blood, that's not an urgent care thing. That's go to ER.
Right.
All right. And that can be handled. But the lifestyle piece really has to do with, fix your diet. Don't eat late at night. Don't eat while you're stressed. Make sure you've got decent amounts of fiber in your diet. And if you think you have any food sensitivities, find out. Because, for example, almonds are a wonderful food. But if your body forms antibodies to them, now they're inflammatory.
Right.
And the number one cause of diverticulitis that I see in most people is peanuts.
Really?
Not because peanuts are bad,
No.
but because they're actually forming inflammation immune response to peanuts.
And is that the peanut or the mold on the peanut?
It's the legume itself.
Okay.
Canola oil being the second.
Right.
So sorry,
And that's
canola.
everywhere.
Everywhere.
In all vegetable oils.
Well, a lot of vegetable oils will irritate, yeah.
Yeah.
We now know that the absolute worst oil for your gut, and this will definitely inflame diverticulitis or diverticulosis, is soybean oil. So we now know that soybean oil will increase your risk for ulcerative colitis 1,000 times.
Wow.
Yeah, 1,000 times.
Okay.
What's in the soy that causes that?
The processing of the oil creates this solvent, essentially. So soybean oil is almost like a solvent, and it's stripping the lining of your gut. So soybean oil and turpentine, right? It's not too far of a stretch to make turpentine from soybean oil or flaxseed oil.
Well, Chris, do you remember the episode that we talked about the oils and the chemicals, what they and the process in which they...
I've never even considered cleaning off my paintbrushes with soybean oil.
Yeah, use
Turpentine, yes.
Yeah.
Not soybean oil.
So linseed oil, remember that stuff?
It's flaxseed oil.
It's flaxseed oil.
Yeah, they still have it.
Yeah.
It's still out there.
Yeah.
So if your oil smells like paint thinner, throw it out.
Right. Okay, I want to circle back to the right kind of fiber for diverticulitis, because that's definitely going to be the right way to go. But I already know that a lot of people think, I can't eat seeds, I can't eat nuts, I can't eat that stuff. So dive into a little bit more about the right kind of fiber. Are we talking like, go get your all bran? That's, I'm guessing, what most dietitians, let's say, would say to, go eat your whole wheat bread, make sure there's grains in it, all of that. Very typical when you think of fiber. You just, most people's minds goes to all bran.
They go to grain.
All bran.
All bran goes back to 1985 when all bran was popular.
Right, right.
Well, yeah, but it's the generational thing, right?
Yeah.
If it's the conversation that still happens because it's being passed down. Oh, you need more fiber?
Yeah.
That means that you should go and eat all bran. You're getting that from, your parents or your grandparents or whatever.
Yeah, and throwing some wheat germ onto your oatmeal.
Yeah.
I
Great.
know, don't make that face, Chris. But you go into Tim Hortons, right, and you're looking at their muffin selection, and they got the Colon Blow 2000 muffin, which is basically all fiber and raisins.
Right.
So For some reason, we still think about grains as a good source of fiber, and they are, but it's an inflammatory fiber. And what you want to remember is your fruits and vegetables are fiber by weight. My favorite form of fiber is mushrooms. Of course.
Oh. Are you going to roll your eyes, Chris?
So you gotta cook those mushrooms, though. You gotta break them down, and then when you eat the mushrooms, the fiber and the sugars in the mushroom actually soothe the gut. Now, if we're going to go way down south, fried okra will actually help soothe the belly.
Oh.
Which explains Louisiana, because when you eat like they eat, you need something to soothe your belly after, or it is a 10-alarm fire.
And then what about things like aloe vera juice? I've seen that around.
So we brought in the aloe. Aloe vera, we've all seen an aloe plant. You
Yes.
may have even had a crazy aunt cut one in half and rub it on your sunburn. I did, but she was awesome. Anyways, so aloe juice is very soothing to the intestinal tract, much like a burn cream.
Yeah.
Okay. But I would recommend you get it from Texas. So if it says made in Texas, it's probably good aloe vera juice. But if it's aloe vera extract or gel, that's a laxative, and it is powerful.
Okay.
So don't eat that. But if you have an itis in your intestines, then the aloe juice is very soothing.
Okay.
I
can already see the label that says aloe gel on it.
Alarm, alarm, alarm.
Don't buy it.
Usually labeled as Cape aloe. We use an aloe extract in some of our powders, the 200-to-1 extract, and that's soothing. So if you're doing anything for the gut, you'll typically see an aloe extract in it.
Right.
There's actually been a decent body of evidence on the 200-to-1 extract of aloe and colon cancer. So we want to watch that. I did say the C word. So speaking of colon cancer, there is a test you can do, right? Cologuard, and you just swab your toilet paper, send it in, and it'll let you know if you have colon cancer.
Wow.
A lot of false positives. They're actually measuring a certain microbiome bug called Morganella.
Okay.
So if you've had a stool test done, see what your Morganella levels are, and if they're going up, that means the inflammation in your gut is starting to exceed your body's ability to adapt. So you need fiber, but nobody's asked why. Why do you need fiber? It's not to squeeze stuff out. It's not to fill the bag, okay? Fiber absorbs cholesterol and bile. And if you don't absorb cholesterol and bile in the gut, the bile actually inflames the lining of the gut.
The bile does.
Bile, bad bile. So again, you're sitting at Barbie, it's going on too long, you're eating cheap popcorn with trans fats on it.
Yes.
Your gallbladder and liver are trying to keep up with you. And now you're having flashbacks to your childhood, that mommy didn't love me, I didn't have the Barbie I wanted, and it's just a brutal night. And you're secreting all this bile. Okay, so you're very bilious. And if that bile doesn't get soaked up, it actually starts to rot the lining of your gut. And you've got to have a bowel movement to clean that out. But if you have fiber in there, it'll actually bind a lot of the bile and some of the cholesterol. And cholesterol is made from bile, so that's one of the secrets of using decent fiber in your diet all the time. And all these dietitians talk about going plant-based for your heart health, and what they're failing to take account is a plant-based diet's high in fiber. That's why the heart numbers look different. The fiber from the plant-based diet actually lowers the blood lipids, but it's actually not changing the outcome of heart disease. It's just lowering an indicator.
Because the bowel is full of fiber. And also, if someone's constipated, then it's very possible that your cholesterol is going to be high anyway. That's one of the first things to look at. If you have high cholesterol, is make sure that you're having a regular bowel movement, hence more fiber. So it's like a win-win-win. Check all the boxes going on.
It's the old adage, if you poop, you feel better, you know?
Yeah.
And the reason is the bugs in your belly like to eat, and when they poop things like serotonin or dopamine. But what nobody remembers is the things that those bugs like to eat to make you feel better are fibers.
Right.
Technically, short-chain fatty acids found in fibers. So if you've ever done keto and things changed but your mood sucked, you need some fiber.
In
Exactly.
keto,
You
and
need
that's
fiber.
a real problem.
Right.
And I was having a conversation with someone a couple of weeks ago, and it was very interesting because he had been on a keto diet. Then he went on, now he's on a plant-based diet. And all the tests that he was having done were taking him on a particular journey. And he found out that I was a nutritionist. We were sitting at dinner, and then of course all the questions come, which I don't mind. It's okay for those to come, but I actually just, rather than trying to figure him out, I said, do you see the journey that you have been on? What you're offering to your body. So you ate a terrible diet before of just all the standard American stuff, super uber processed. You went through just a huge change to move to keto. And then when you did that, that eliminated all the processed food out of your diet. You weren't having sugar. It was a huge change. And then from the keto realized, okay, I don't think this is working for me, but was on it for long enough to have instigated a change, and then moved on to plant-based, which I don't think is great for anyone for a long period of time. Right. But basically, what I was trying to get across to him was that you've made changes, so there's going to be a change in your body. And keep on doing the tests that you're doing. Keep on following your cholesterol levels, your triglycerides, whatever it was. I can't recall right now what his issues were. But change is good in the right direction, of course. But the fact that he just didn't stick on the same diet and made a change is part of the journey. And if you're looking for the magic bullet of this diet is going to sort everything out, it may just be that you need this particular diet or way of eating for a period of time before you move on.
The best diet for people to start with is the opposite of what they're doing.
Exactly.
Just start there.
Yeah. Because what got you here is what you've been doing.
Yeah.
So
I've got a professional triathlete right now who has to hit the porta potty every 2 miles. I mean, it's really screwing up your results.
Yeah.
If you're losing a minute every 2 miles to
For
use
sure.
the restroom. And what we found out is her intestines were so inflamed that everything she eats goes right through her.
Oh, God. No
So
absorption.
We tweaked it.
Yeah.
She figured we'll do a 3-week experiment, which is a pretty big deal for a triathlete.
Sure.
In season. And the first Friday, she swam 1.5 miles. She rode 100 miles. And she ran 8 miles because she ran out of daylight. She wanted to do 16. She didn't poop once. She felt amazing. All because she found out what foods cause inflammation in her.
Right.
And eliminated it. And they were all the foods she was told to eat by a coach.
Right.
Amazing.
Yeah. Such change. Like that's life changing.
Yeah, it was for her.
Within what? Was that a week?
It was 5 days, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of resistance, but now, if you're going to train that hard,
Yeah.
one little flip.
Yeah.
I don't care if your pancakes are gray. They're not giving you colitis, so
Right.
go fast.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Next question is a really interesting one. And this came through Instagram on Lianne Phillipson handle. And this is from a 59-year-old female. I'm going to leave her anonymous. Better put the glasses on to read this one. What remedies or what vitamins do I need so I don't have to put my glasses on, Davis?
Vitamin C.
Vitamin C. Okay. She's been through menopause, almost no symptoms. That's great. Hats off to you. She's watched her weight. She's got 4 children, grandchildren, and she's on some supplements, but really just isn't feeling like she has as much energy. She wants energy. She wants to be with her grandkids, which was just so important, especially at that age, at almost 60. Super active. Her blood work came back absolutely fine, but she just doesn't feel like she's great. She takes a multivitamin, vitamin D, A, K2, B1, magnesium, and then I dove in a little bit more to find out about what were the supplements that she's taking. So we've got D3 at 25 micrograms. That's 1,000 IU, right? Yeah, not enough. I'm just going to say that off the top before you even say anything. She takes B1, vitamin A at 10,000 IUs. She's got a multi from a drugstore brand, which again, I can almost guarantee you're going to say, no, we need better. Chromium, which is normally for blood sugar balance, 500 micrograms. Now she's taking the form magnesium citrate, and we have talked about this before. This is so important for people to know. She's taking something called Bioforce at night. She's also on some Synthroid, which is for her thyroid. And what else? K2, 100 micrograms, and I think that's about it. So this is a really interesting one because when you and I very briefly talked about this first, the first thing that popped into your mind was iodine.
Or iodine.
Iodine.
It's iodine.
It's iodine.
Let's just
Okay.
go with that.
Okay.
So when we do a case review on somebody like this, first of all, we key in on this person really wants to feel good.
Yeah.
And they want to be healthy, and they're taking steps to do it.
Yeah.
So that's my kind of patient. They're interested,
Yeah.
right? They really want to do it. But the steps that they're taking, they're doing it all alone. And when you try to do this on your own, we're very poor judges of our own physiology. So you're trying to help yourself, but you really don't know what your body needs. And if we're going to go with a standard medical assessment, when she's on Synthroid or levothyroxine. So if we run the labs and look at the thyroid, chances are, at least in Canada, you're going to get what's called a TSH, which is actually a measurement of how your pituitary gland's working with your thyroid. And that's where they decide how to dose the thyroid medication.
Okay.
It may actually be normal. The zone is way too big for TSH. So
Okay.
to quote my friend Dr. Jeff Nussbaum, it's like, shrink the zone, bro. It should be 0.6 to 2 for a healthy human. And my guess is probably outside of that range.
Right.
That would cause fatigue. But first test I would run is what's called a thyroid panel. And we're going to look at T3 and T4, different forms of thyroid hormone.
Yep.
I want to look at reverse T3, which is going to measure the stress response of thyroid hormone. And I want to know what her immune system's doing to her thyroid. Because with menopause and exiting menopause, your immune system can get a little wackadoodle. So nobody talks about the T3, T4 story, but it's a story of iodine. And if you live away from the ocean, chances are you're iodine deficient.
Okay.
So when somebody like this comes to me with a chief complaint of fatigue, we're actually going to measure her blood levels of iodine. They're going to be low. And we're going to want to raise them. Now, the first mistake you make in natural medicine is doing replacement therapy. The iodine's low, give her lots of iodine. No, don't do that. So food sources of iodine. Well,
Seaweed.
We've been stepping on it for the last 2 days. It's, kelp, seaweed.
What about dulse, though?
Dulse. If it's clean, sure.
Okay.
But anything from the ocean is going to have iodine,
Okay.
not the lake. Don't get them confused. I know Lake Superior is big. But yeah, munch on some dried seaweed and get it at Costco.
Yeah.
Yes, there may be some contamination. No, you don't want to eat seaweed from Fukushima. They're releasing the radioactive water this week. So don't do that. But shellfish is high in iodine. Now, you're not going to get enough just from iodine. All right, so you're going to need a supplement. But if you're going to take iodine as a supplement, you also want to make sure you have another mineral called selenium. But the preferred form is selenomethionine.
Yes.
So now you're thinking, oh crap, I got to go to the store and look for iodine and selenomethionine. You'll find them together in a good supplement, a professional level supplement.
Right.
That covers the iodine. So that means the thyroid is now well supported. I'm assuming she has a thyroid. Some people don't.
Right. Didn't mention that she doesn't.
Right. But from an energy point of view, your thyroid has your entire blood supply run through it every 7 minutes. So if your iodine is low, you're not able to clean the blood, replenish the blood properly. If you've got thyroid dysfunction, if you've got goiters or lumps on the thyroid, you're going to have a hard time keeping up. And you may feel like you're tired because you can't produce the energy you need. But often it's stress driven from a lifetime of chronic stress. So the first thing you can do for yourself right now is go to your favorite health food store and get the highest dose ashwagandha you can find. It may be under the name withania, but ashwagandha, when you take it, helps keep your brain balanced, keeps stress balanced. But the medical reason for ashwagandha is it actually helps keep your thyroid hormone circulating longer. So instead of giving you more hormone, let's help you keep it so you can
Right.
use it. And it's about 1.4 times longer. So,
What is a high dose of ashwagandha if you're looking at numbers?
so the best ashwagandha on the label, and if you can read the label these days, I might need to borrow your glasses, Lianne. It'll be quantified for something called withanolides. So you're going to see ashwagandha extract, maybe 400 milligrams.
Okay.
But it needs to have the word withanolide on it,
Okay.
and there'll be a number. Grab that one.
Right.
Because if it's quantified to that, you know it's going to work.
And then how many are you taking? What time of day?
Typically, in this case, I would do 2 in the morning.
Yep.
And if you can't sleep, maybe take another one at night.
So I take my ashwagandha that you gave me at nighttime.
You take the super duper alley-ooper ashwagandha.
Right.
That stuff's hardcore. And that would be, one of those would be the equivalent of like trying to take 4 of an over-the-counter.
Okay.
But for your brain and my brain that likes to run full throttle pegged,
Yeah.
ashwagandha is like the anti-caffeine. So much like green tea can calm the brain, ashwagandha helps calm the brain
Yeah.
and adapt to stress.
Yeah.
But the thyroid piece is huge. So no, it's not going to work in a tea. You need to take a supplement. It needs to be strong.
Okay.
And there's lots of articles on this, but that's what ashwagandha does for you.
Right.
And that's how I would help her. Get her thyroid
See?
checked. Yeah.
Seeing you two, like you sitting there in your golf shirt and Lianne putting her granny glasses on and off, that's what comes to mind is hardcore.
Yeah. Hardcore.
Is what you two are all about.
Yeah.
How are my granny glasses hardcore? Hey, I'm bringing you back over this side. How are my granny glasses?
Sarcasm, Lianne. Look it up in the dictionary or Google it.
It's next to ashwagandha.
I just think it's great that in this podcast, it's the only podcast in the world where you can use a term like hardcore with ashwagandha.
Yeah.
Very
It's the
true.
only
That's tremendous.
I can tell you've
It's
been
like-
working
it's
on
like-
your ashwagandha.
Dr. B is the biker boy of medicine, man.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So, Chris, what questions have you got for Dr. B?
Oh, for crying out loud. What questions do I have? How do you cook your steak, Dr. B? Do you like it medium or rare?
I really try not to anger the chef. So if you want to make a chef really mad, ask for it well done.
Why do you make a chef mad if it's well done?
Because that's how you ruin good meat.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Okay, so great question, Chris. And I'd love to show you one day if we could get a green egg going and we'll get a brisket. But you shouldn't cook red meat past medium well because the microbiome won't appreciate those fibers in the meat and it's
Right.
going to be very inflammatory on your gut. Same token, you don't want it rare unless you really know where that cow from. So if you had a relationship with the cow and you understand the cow's history and you've done regression therapy with the cow, go ahead and eat it raw as long as you know what you're doing. But I would not like buy some grocery store steak and cook it rare because there's too many things that can go wrong with that, particularly
Right.
E. coli. But the easiest thing to do at a restaurant is, medium rare. If you start with medium rare and it comes out too rare, you can always cook it a bit more. But if you start with medium rare and it comes out medium well, you're starting over. But if I'm going to cook you a steak, my friend, depending on the cut, of course, I'm going to go for medium rare. If you're okay with that.
I'm not friends with anybody who goes to the well or medium well. We don't get along.
No.
They cook their steak that long.
If it's going to be Wagyu or Kobe, we're going to have a conversation if you try to cook that thing past medium rare. Because those meats are engineered to be,
Yeah.
We're having words. I tricked a vegan recently into trying carpaccio, and she thought it was beets. And she said, these beets have changed my life. I feel so amazing. I can't believe it. I'm like, yeah, you just had raw filet. And she's like, filet of beet. Oh my goodness. It changed her life. Your whole being lit up.
Because she
But
went
she
from
had-
vegan.
From vegan to eating raw cow. You know?
There's so much I could say about this.
I know, it's
We
awesome.
just take it off of food.
Yeah.
What are you doing giving a vegan beef?
Oh, she was on a high horse about vegan and seeing Bigfoot. And if you don't believe in Bigfoot, you won't see him. And I'm like, wow, here, try these beets. It was carpaccio.
Wow.
Wow.
It does
Such a
change.
rebel.
It does change people's lives.
Yeah. Besides,
It
you don't
really
pair
does.
beets with a nice Syrah. You know, you got to have the Syrah with a red. Anyways,
From the mouths of babes. my
we're still
friend.
friends.
From the mouths of babes. Well, that's good. All right. So just to finish off, there is a summer flu
Yeah.
going around right now that I've heard many people talk about. And of course, there's all of the anti things, that you know, the boosting the immune system, supporting the immune system, all of that sort of stuff. But what do you do to get yourself back after you've had a summer flu, a COVID flu, a whatever kind of thing that's going on? Because for some people, it can take them a while to get back. What's the post-viral type advice that you have?
I think we're going to need to design a new product. I have it on the whiteboard.
Do you?
So the story is the recovery phase.
Yes.
And the immune system, you're like, oh, I don't feel well, I'm probably fine. And then you're like, oh, it's probably allergies. My throat's a little scratchy. It must be the smoke in the air. I'm stressed, I'm depressed, I'm fine. Then you wake up and you're like, I'm not fine.
Right.
3 to 5 days later, you're thinking, I'm going to be okay. 2 weeks go by, I'm still not okay. And then you're tracking your data and you've got all these metrics that are saying, you're still not okay. Why are you not okay? Your immune system didn't ramp a strong enough response. So it was mediocre in its response. So it kind of solved the equation, but didn't actually show its work. So you don't get full grades for getting better.
Right.
So you're left with all these broken pieces of immune cells and this smoldering viral component in the background. Remember, viruses, they gotta have a right to live too,
Right.
depending on who you talk to. And they will find a place to hide and fester. Maybe it's your lungs, could be a tooth, could be gallbladder, could be your colon. Wherever it is, it's still festering.
Oh boy.
And if you didn't mount a strong enough defense, you didn't kick them off their pedestal. So all of this debris is forming because you're trying to attack things. You've got to get rid of that debris. And this is where things like enemas, colonics come in. You've got to flush the lymphatics out aggressively. If that doesn't sound very sexy to you, I don't blame you, then try a sauna.
Okay.
Get in the sauna,
That's
check
a
your
good
heart rate,
Yep.
make sure your heart rate doesn't double while you're in the sauna. If it does, get out. Sweat, sweat, sweat. You need the heat. And fiber to bind the bile and all those dead bodies that you just went John Wick on in your system. Herbs like echinacea are always good post-viral, but
Okay.
there's another herb called astragalus, which is great post-viral, particularly if you're tired. And any good Chinese medicine store will have post-viral recipes. Use anything you would use for something like shingles, herpes, chickenpox, stuff like that. Ask your Asian grocer if they have any astragalus. They will. It comes in big bags.
Okay. And
But
then what do you do with it? Cook
Make
it?
make a tea.
Make a tea.
Yep.
Okay.
And drink it.
And after you have been sick, then how long would you like it to take for you to feel better before you know that you need to go the extra mile and do these things?
I don't wait.
Okay.
We have a procedure. If you know you've been sick and
Yep.
you have a test that says you're sick and you trust the test, you start the process of recovery.
Okay.
But if you take your mushrooms and you don't eat sugar and
Right.
you respect the sleep and you do the stress response and you don't put your hands in your mouth after being at TSA,
Right.
you know, don't lick the armrest on an airplane, stuff like that,
I remember you saying that before.
then you'll be okay, right? Be careful what your dog is kissing you with after whatever they ate.
Yeah.
So minimize your exposure. But this is taking us into this conversation about a concept called senescence. Way beyond today, Chris. I know you're rolling your eyes.
We have
Careful.
an episode about this
Right.
with Dr. Nick Bitts.
Let me dial in the new senescence awareness.
Okay.
Haha. Renegade. Right? What's happening is the older we get and the sicker we have been, the more difficult it is for our body to eliminate the debris that we created from being sick.
Yeah.
And
And the immune system has a proper cleanup crew.
Correct. Yeah.
And I've shared this with many clients in the past, is when you take an antibiotic, it's often important for you to do it at that time. But what does not happen is the cleanup crew coming along, which is why you can get another infection, an ear infection in kids, or another UTI, or you kind of like, oh God, that didn't work, so let me try another one,
Right.
when it's actually the cleanup crew that didn't kind of finish off the job.
Yeah. And what we know today is a lot of the plants we use for allergies clean up the senescent cells. So if you want your immune system to be a spring chicken, vital, aggressive, I always want my immune system to be like John Wick. You know, he never gets tired, don't touch his dog, don't steal his car, and he just lays waste to anything coming near him.
Okay.
But he always looks good in his suit.
Haven't watched this.
That's a great analogy for a healthy immune system.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that's come out in the last 6 weeks on this is the herb quercetin,
Yes.
which you will find in things like apple skins.
Yeah.
Quercetin helps clean up debris. So I think of it as my super Dyson vacuum of the immune system.
Yeah.
And we've always used it for histamine.
Yeah.
That
It's
makes
my
sense.
favorite. One of my favorites. It's in the product that you always recommend called D-Hist.
The D-Hist.
Which I've had a million emails about, which is just tremendous. It is, we can get it in Canada, easier to get it from Innovation Health Solutions. I'll put that link over on liannephillipson.com and any other links and the article that you talked about. So
And we're going to make an immune senescent product.
we're going to
You and I are gonna do that.
apparently, Chris. Or maybe you'll just be on the computer screen like you are now, watching what we're doing.
Well, he's going to be the face of it. You know,
You're
like,
going to be the face of it,
like the
apparently.
squash
according to
soap,
Dave.
you know, or, you know, the brawny guy.
The brawny guy. You're gonna have to put the suit on like John Wick. I haven't even watched this, so maybe I'll have to go back and you'll be Davis's version of John Wick. Well, thank you so much.
The visionary.
Yeah, I know, right? So thank you so much, Davis, for coming back. And this is a unique, I don't know how many times we're going to be able to do this, but a unique episode. We're actually in the same room. And thank you to the lovely loyal listeners for sending in your questions. This is going to happen once a month moving forward. If you haven't signed up for my newsletter, you can do that either on sproutright.com or liannephillipson.com. And I'm going to keep on reminding you to send in your questions, and you can just hit reply on that, or you can send a message through liannephillipson.com. I'm trying to keep them all together, so just suggesting that one. The show notes, of course, as always, will be over on liannephillipson.com. Thank you to Dr. Brockenshire, otherwise known as Dr. B. Thank you to Chris for producing this episode, because it's rather different than what we're normally doing, sitting in the closet. So we're just giving this a go because we're in the same place. And as always, please remember to eat this one mouthful at a time.